Yo, what's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join me on Patreon to get the complete version, the link is in the description. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 1QR. Chapter 001 Opening sign in Rinnegan. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 1291st. Chapter 001 Opening sign in Rinnegan. Next. The 47th year of Konoha. There is no god bridge. Looking around, there were broken walls and ruins everywhere, and big holes made by powerful ninjutsu could be seen everywhere on the ground, some of which were still emitting green smoke. The occasional cold mountain breeze made the already pungent smell of blood even stronger. It was obvious that a bloody battle had taken place here not long ago. On the desolate battlefield, 7 or 8 figures stood in front of a pile of ruins made of huge stones. But these 7 or 8 figures were all ninjas from Konoha, and most of them had the logo of the Konoha Guard printed on their clothes. Yes, these ninjas are basically from the Konoha Guard, or to be more precise, from the Konoha Uchiha clan. The duty of the Konoha Guard is generally to maintain village law and order, but now that the Third Shinobi World War is in full swing, there are seriously insufficient Konoha shinobi. Even some genin who had just graduated from ninja schools were thrown into the battlefield, not to mention the Konoha Guard. Kakashi, is this the place? Uchiha Shisui, who was in charge of the team, took a look at the environment at the scene, then turned his head and looked at the non-Uchiha boy standing in the front and asked. The young man closed his left eye and a wound could be seen running through the upper and lower eyelids. It was obvious that his left eye had been blinded by a sharp weapon. This person is none other than Namikaze Minato's student Kakashi. Next to Kakashi stood another member of Minato's class, Nohara Rin. The third member of Minato's class, Uchiha Obito, is not here at the moment, as he has been buried in the ruins in front of everyone. Kakashi nodded. This is it. Everyone please hurry up and dig Obito out as soon as possible. Get started. Uchiha Shisui waved his hand and the Konoha Guard stopped talking and immediately started moving forward, moving the rubble away and digging hard. Oh my god, Uchiha Obito just died and the battle of Kannabi Bridge just ended. How the hell did I travel to such an awkward time? What no one knew was that one of the Uchiha people who was carrying the rubble had a look of agony on his face. This person's name is Uchiha Ryujin. He is 12 years old, just graduated from ninja school, has the strength of a genin and has not awakened the Sharingan. He is just an ordinary member of the Uchiha tribe. Nothing can be seen on the surface, but in fact 10 minutes ago the soul in this person's body has been occupied by another soul. Yes, now Uchiha Ryujin is already a serious time traveler. Before traveling through time, Uchiha Ryujin loved watching anime. As Hokage is one of the 3 most popular anime, he was naturally very familiar with it in his previous life. Therefore, although he had just traveled through time not long ago, Uchiha Ryujin immediately and accurately determined the timeline he was in. It was an era of war. As an ordinary genin, he is not worth mentioning in such a dangerous world. Ding. The god level sign in system has been successfully bound. Hosts can sign in at special locations. The more special the sign in location, the richer the rewards. Some locations allow multiple sign-ins while others can only be signed in once. Please figure this out on your own. Just as Uchiha Ryujin was moving the stones, a series of mechanical electronic sounds suddenly rang in his mind. Uchiha Ryujin couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, then suddenly became excited. Lousie's plug-in has finally arrived. A check-in location has been detected. Host, would you like to check in? Then the system's questioning voice sounded again in Uchiha Ryujin's mind. Sign in. What is there to hesitate about? Uchiha Ryujin immediately said to the system in his mind. Ding. Congratulations, host, for signing in successfully and getting the reward Rinnegan. Rinnegan. Bang. The big rock in Uchiha Ryujin's hand suddenly fell to the ground and hit his feet directly, but the huge shock made Uchiha Ryujin feel no pain. Because at this moment Uchiha Ryujin was completely confused. Rinnegan. This system is so awesome. I got a Rinnegan as a reward for my first sign-in. This is the ultimate form of the Sharingan. Super powerful. Uchiha Ryujin roared in his heart and almost jumped up. There is no need to explain what the Rinnegan is like among the Hokage. Just think of the big boss Uzumaki Nagato in the middle period. The abilities of the 6 paths are all extremely heaven-defying. Once planetary devastation appears, the tailed beasts are all little brothers. If a strong man at the level of a god of the ninja world does not appear, they are completely invincible. Uchiha Ryujin never imagined that he would transform from an ordinary genin to such a heaven-defying powerhouse. The gap was so huge that Uchiha Ryujin almost couldn't react. Ryujin, what's wrong? A voice sounded, interrupting Uchiha Ryujin's thoughts, and Uchiha Shisui tilted his head, looked at Uchiha Ryujin and asked. The others also looked at Uchiha Ryujin with serious expressions. It's no wonder that everyone is overly nervous and panic-stricken. After all, a very brutal war has just broken out here and the enemy may appear at any time. Is this Uchiha Shisui? Ryujin looked the other person over and saw that it was a young boy who looked about the same age as Kakashi. Shisui's age is not clearly stated among the Hokage, so there is some controversy. Some people judged based on the pictures of Shisui and Itachi in the same frame and guessed that Shisui is 3 or 4 years older than Itachi. This is very one-sided. After all, Hokage is not a live-action drama and judging age by appearance is not reliable. It is more reasonable to judge by the plot and background. Shisui appears in the memoirs of Killer Bee Ching and others. Shisui once scared Ching away when he was young, so Shisui is definitely not that young. Moreover, it is more reasonable for ninjas to become famous in various countries in the ninja world or even obtain specific titles during wartime. It is very likely that Shisui will become famous after 3 battles. No, It's okay. Uchiha Ryujin immediately waved his hand in response to Shisui's gaze and gave a casual reply. But he saw that everyone was still staring at him. Uchiha Ryujin suddenly realized that this was not his previous life but a world of ninjas. Even though the Genin's strength was low, they were warriors trained with countless sweat and tears. How could they not even be able to lift a stone? A casual remark is not enough to dispel everyone's doubts. I'm just afraid of seeing Obito-san, Uchiha Ryujin immediately said in a sad voice. Everyone then realized that Uchiha Ryujin was afraid of seeing Uchiha Obito's body and was unwilling to accept the fact that Uchiha Obito was likely dead a long time ago. Ryujin, we are all ninjas. It is our duty to defend the village at all costs. Even if it means sacrificing our lives. Even if Obito dies, he is still a hero. Uchiha Shisui said to Uchiha Ryujin with a serious face. No, Obito won't die. Kakashi gritted his teeth and said stubbornly. Everyone else sighed slightly. Buried under such a huge pile of rocks, Uchiha Obito must have been smashed into a pulp, right? How could he still be alive? But they could also understand Kakashi's feelings and didn't say much. P.S. Shisui's information in Baidu Encyclopedia is that he became famous through 3 battles. Although Baidu Encyclopedia is not absolutely authoritative, it can still be used as a reference when the official Hokage has not set any settings. Chapter 002 Black Zetsu, the plan is about to begin. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 291st. Chapter 002 Black Zetsu, the plan is about to begin. That's right, Kakashi Obito is indeed not dead. He was rescued by Uchiha Madara a long time ago. Uchiha Ryujin, the only one who knew the truth, couldn't help but think so in his heart after hearing Kakashi's words. Of course it's just a thought and I can't say it out loud no matter what. He continued to carry stones out one by one like everyone else with a sad look on his face. Uchiha Ryujin didn't want anyone to notice anything for the time being. Kannabi Bridge actually signed in and released a Rinnegan. Is this place so special? However, Ryujin's heart was not at peace at all and his mind was full of things about the sign-in system. In the anime, the Battle of Kannabi Bridge is of great significance because it is the starting point of Uchiha Obito's dark transformation and the beginning of Uchiha Madara's project Tsuki no Mi. But for the world of Hokage, Kannabi Bridge is just the site of a battle and there is nothing special about it. Could it be that the specialness of Kannabi Bridge is not due to this battle but because of the Uchiha Madara hidden underground? Suddenly a flash of inspiration came into Uchiha Ryujin's mind and he suddenly realized it. There is a secret base under the Kannabi Bridge. It is unknown how long the elderly Madara has been lurking in that base. Never mind, this question is meaningless. Now I should be the only perfect owner of the Rinnegan in the entire Hokage world, right? Uchiha Ryujin thought excitedly in his mind. Of course the Uchiha Ryujin are not the only ones who possess the Rinnegan now. Uzumaki Nagato has possessed the Rinnegan for who knows how many years. But the key problem is that Uzumaki Nagato is not a member of the Uchiha tribe, so he does not have perfect possession. Even though he is a member of the Uzumaki clan and has an extraordinary physique, he still has to bear the huge burden of the Rinnegan. Uchiha Ryujin is different. His eyes are exactly the same as the original wife's, so he can naturally control them perfectly. It goes without saying that you won't be hindered by anything and you can also turn the Rinnegan on and off at will. You have to know that even though Uchiha Ryujin now possesses the Rinnegan, what's inside his pupils are still just ordinary eyes. It's not the Rinnegan. However, when Uchiha Ryujin needs to use the Rinnegan, he can automatically switch to the Rinnegan state with just a thought, which is extremely convenient. While thinking about these things in their minds, they were carrying out the movement. Before they knew it, they had moved all the stones away. But what surprised everyone was that there was nothing underneath and Uchiha Obito's body was not there at all. How could this happen? Where's Obito? He's clearly buried under here. Kakashi frowned, looking extremely puzzled. Kakashi, could it be that you remembered it wrongly? Uchiha Shisui pondered for a moment and turned his head to ask. No, I'm sure this is the place, Kakashi said firmly. Kakashi, Obito must have been rescued. That's great, Obito is not dead. Nohara Lin shouted hopefully. Yes, that must be the case. Someone must have rescued Obito. Kakashi's eyes lit up and he nodded heavily in agreement. Uchiha Shisui sighed slightly in his heart. He really wanted to raise an objection. If someone really rescued Obito, why did they pile the stones back? Is it to conceal the truth? It doesn't make sense at all. However, Uchiha Shisui also knew that it was rare for Kakashi and Nohara Lin to have hope in their hearts and he really couldn't bear to discourage them at this time, so he didn't say much. As for why Uchiha Obito's body disappeared, it is indeed a bit strange, but the war is tense now and it is not the time to worry about such things. Since Obito's body was not found, Uchiha Shisui and his companions naturally did not stay here for long and immediately began to return to Konoha. Snort sniff. Everyone's body flicker technique unfolded and soon disappeared. Just when Uchiha Shisui and others left, a black shadow-like liquid emerged from a tree not far away. It was Mr. Black Zetsu, the most filial son in the ninja world. The people from Konoha have left. They probably won't come to check this place again. Uchiha Madara intends for Obito to carry out Project Tsuki no Mi, so my plan will also begin. Rock Shinobi's people, this is going to be interesting, but it has nothing to do with me for now. Black Zetsu muttered to himself before sinking into the tree trunk again and disappearing. Just above the tree where Black Zetsu disappeared, a rock shinobi jumped out, flashing Shisui and Kakashi. This is a great opportunity to eliminate Shisui. Notify Lord Han immediately. During the Battle of Kannabi Bridge, Konoha's main opponent was Iwagakure. The battle was extremely brutal and both sides suffered heavy losses. During this process there were two people who became famous throughout the ninja world. One is the Yellow Flash Namikaze Minato and the other is the Instant Body Shisui. As for the Sannin, their battlefield was World War II, not World War III. At this stage among the Sannin, Jiraiya is often traveling outside in search of the child of prophecy. Tsunade left Konoha and is nowhere to be found, and the only one left, Orochimaru, for some reason rarely appears on the battlefield. This made the entire third battle almost a show for Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Shisui. So Rock Shinobi was eager to get rid of these two people and didn't want to miss any opportunity. Snort sniff. In the dense forests of the mountains, Uchiha Shisui took the lead, leading Kakashi and the Konoha guards as they quickly returned to Konoha. Suddenly Shisui's expression changed slightly. "Shisui, have you found anything?" Kakashi asked in a deep voice. "The enemy is coming. Everyone get ready for battle," Uchiha Shisui said to everyone with a serious face. During wartime this kind of situation was extremely common. Everyone remained calm, each holding their own ninja tools tightly and becoming fully alert. Oink oink. At this moment several figures flashed by and a group of Iwagakure ninjas appeared on the tree trunk opposite everyone. The leader among them wore a crimson hat on his head, crimson armor on his body and a crimson mask on his mouth. In short, she is dressed in deep red and is very eye-catching. Its body is like an iron tower and simply standing there gives people a subtle sense of oppression. Steam Ninja. Rock Shinobi really thinks highly of me. Uchiha Shisui's brows couldn't help but furrow. Chapter 003, The Power of Universal Pull. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 3291st. Chapter 003, The Power of Universal Pull. Steam Ninja. After hearing what Uchiha Shisui said, Uchiha Ryujin also thought to himself. After thinking carefully, I remembered who the big man in front of me was. Han Five Tails Kokuo's Jinchuriki. When Uchiha Ryujin recalled this person's identity, he also felt very upset. Although Han is a physical ninja, physical skills do not mean he is not powerful. Gai Huang's 8 inner gates amazed the entire ninja world. Not to mention Han is a Jinchuriki. Uchiha Shisui, today is the day you die. Han pointed at Uchiha Shisui from a distance and spoke coldly. Laugh, laugh. At the same time a large amount of steam began to spray diagonally upward from the back of Han's armor. Uchiha Shisui didn't dare to be careless at all. When the opponent started to spray steam, it meant that he was about to take action. Swish. Sure enough, at that moment Han's figure suddenly turned into a phantom and disappeared from the spot in an instant. With lightning speed it shot towards Uchiha Shisui. Snap. The branch that Han was standing on broke instantly. What a fast speed. Shisui's pupils shrank slightly. He didn't dare to be careless at all. He shook his body and appeared on another tree trunk like a ghost. Boom. There was a loud bang and the entire crown of the tree where Uchiha Shisui was standing was knocked away by Han. I have to say that Han's power is indeed amazing. At the same time the people brought by Han also rushed over quickly. Of course their target was not Uchiha Shisui but Kakashi and others. Kakashi was not willing to be outdone and stepped forward to meet the enemy. A fierce battle immediately broke out between the two sides. Uchiha Ryujin had just obtained the Rinnegan and didn't want his true strength to be exposed for the time being, so he consciously rushed away. After using several body flicker techniques they quickly jumped out of the main battlefield. It was normal to be separated during a battle. No one noticed it at all. Only 2 Rock Shinobi ninjas were chasing Ryujin closely. However, after getting away from the battlefield, Uchiha Ryujin suddenly stopped, turned around leisurely and looked at the 2 pursuers behind him with a leisurely expression. They were surprisingly 2 Chunin. Normally this would be a situation of near certain death for Uchiha Ryujin, but now that Uchiha Ryujin was about to die he didn't take these 2 people seriously at all. Kid, why don't you run away? Have you accepted your fate? One of the Chunins had a cruel and cold smile on his face as he sneered at Uchiha Ryujin. Feiya, this is a member of the Uchiha tribe, don't be careless. The other person frowned and reminded. The Uchiha clan's Sharingan is famous throughout the ninja world. Even if the opponent is a genin he should not be underestimated. Who knows if the opponent has Sharingan? Who knows if the Sharingan will suddenly open in the middle of a battle? According to the latest information from Rock Shinobi, during the battle at Kannabi Bridge not long ago a Uchiha kid suddenly activated the Sharingan and killed many people. After this lesson Rock Shinobi became more cautious when facing Uchiha. Earth Style. Earth Lance. Feiya was just being harsh in his words, but he actually didn't underestimate Uchiha Ryujin at all. He suddenly started to form seals with his palms and let out a light shout. Hiss hiss hiss. A patch of earth spikes suddenly shot out from the ground under Uchiha Ryujin's feet and around him, surrounding him completely. This move is quite powerful and Kuretsuchi once used it to break Naruto's multiple shadow clone techniques. Not to mention Uchiha Ryujin, who is now a genin. Even if he wants to use the body flicker technique to dodge he may not be able to do so. There is no other reason. In some conventional ninjutsu battles genin is naturally no match for chunin. But at this moment Uchiha Ryujin didn't need to use any body flicker technique. His eyeballs rolled in his eye sockets and the Rinnegan suddenly flashed out. At the same time a repulsive force appeared and Uchiha Ryujin's body rose directly from the ground and hovered in the air. What kind of method is this? Feiya and the other 2 were stunned. This Uchiha man could actually fly. Could it be that he also knows Lord Onoki's super light and heavy rock technique? Universal pull. But before the 2 of them could figure out the problem, Uchiha Ryujin stretched out his right hand again and attacked the 2 of them. A huge suction force appeared and Feiya and the other man flew towards Uchiha Ryujin involuntarily. Tisk tisk. Two sounds of flesh being pierced by sharp blades were heard and the bodies of Feiya and the other man stopped in front of Uchiha Ryujin. The hearts of these two people were each pierced by a long black stick. Until their death the two men's eyes were wide open filled with horror and disbelief. They couldn't believe that two Chunins were killed so easily by a single Genin. He took out two Chunin so easily. The Rinnegan is indeed a Rinnegan. Ryujin landed from the air at this time and couldn't help but sigh. However, after feeling his current physical condition, Ryujin couldn't help but frown slightly. I just killed two Chunin, used universal pull and condensed two black rods, but it actually consumed 20% of my chakra. This consumption was far greater than Ryujin had imagined. At this rate of consumption Ryujin wouldn't be able to fight for too long using the Rinnegan. That's not right. I'm a member of the Uchiha clan and I'm perfectly compatible with the Rinnegan. I shouldn't be like Nagato being hindered by the Rinnegan. No, I didn't have any problems using the Rinnegan just now. The real problem is that I'm just a Genin now and my chakra is too low. After some thought Uchiha Ryujin suddenly understood. He is just a small Genin now and the amount of chakra in his body is extremely limited. The amount of chakra consumed by Rinnegan, a heaven-defying cheat, is astonishing. This has led to the current awkward situation where Ryujin is somewhat short of mana. I used to think I was invincible during the Shippuden era and could do whatever I wanted. Now it seems I was overthinking it. It seems that at this stage one can only develop slowly and stay hidden. Ryujin thought about it carefully and made a decision. In his current condition he would have no problem dealing with Jonin, but when it came to dealing with Kage Ryujin wasn't very confident. It's nothing, there's really not enough blue. Chapter 004 Despicable Five Tails Jinchuriki. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 4291st. Chapter 004 Despicable Five Tails Jinchuriki. After making his decision Ryujin casually threw the bodies of Feiya and the others to the ground and then used a transformation technique. In an instant he became a completely different person. After doing all this Uchiha Ryujin began to return to the battlefield. After some thought Ryujin felt that he couldn't just ignore Shisui's life or death. After all, the village knew that Shisui led a team to look for Obito's body. As a result even someone like Shisui died, but Ryujin returned alive, which is hard to believe. There will be countless troubles. What's more, Ryujin couldn't hold back any longer and wanted to test the power of the Rinnegan. So Ryujin decided to go back and take a look. If Shisui could handle everything he would naturally not take action. If Shisui got into a bad situation he wouldn't mind taking action in secret. Of course everything is still under the premise of protecting oneself. When Uchiha Ryujin appeared the battle between the two sides was basically coming to an end. It can be said that Konoha's side was in a miserable state. Except for Uchiha Shisui and Kakashi, almost all the others were killed. Kakashi is now seriously injured and has been captured by two rock shinobi men. There's no way. Although Kakashi got Obito's Sharingan, it was just transplanted and he has no idea how to use it. But then again, even if Kakashi knew how to use the Sharingan it would be useless because there was indeed a huge gap in strength between the enemy and us. As for the instantaneous Shisui, he transformed into four Shisui standing in four directions and confronting Han. Shisui, the name of instant body, is really well deserved. Han said while looking at Shisui with admiration on his face. He has been fighting for so long but he has never found out Shisui's true identity. But, if you continue like this kid will die. Han smiled coldly and quickly transformed into a half-tailed beast. As soon as he opened his mouth a tailed beast bomb was launched towards Kakashi. Shisui's face changed. He certainly couldn't just stand by and watch Kakashi get beaten to death, so he used the body flicker technique and suddenly appeared in front of Kakashi. At the same time his pupil power turned and a huge green half-giant appeared, instantly protecting Shisui inside. Susanoo, show up. What on earth is this? The appearance of the half-body Susanoo stunned everyone at the scene. They had never seen such a strange and terrifying method. They simply couldn't believe that ninjutsu could reach this level. Susanoo is not something that can be found everywhere. Some ordinary ninjas don't even know her. This is Susanoo. Han's eyes also revealed deep fear and shock. Is this the legendary Susanoo? The Uchiha clan of Konoha is indeed terrifying. This giant is simply another higher level of means that surpasses ninjutsu. At this moment Han's determination to kill Uchiha was stronger than ever. Boom. Under the gaze of everyone Han fired the tailed beast bomb which hit Shisui's Susanoo hard, causing an extremely powerful energy shock. The rock shinobi ninjas around could not withstand the powerful energy impact and used the body flicker technique to retreat. Then there was such a powerful tailed beast bomb, but it was completely blocked by Susanoo. All that happened in return was that Susanoo was shaken a little and had some cracks on her. But Shisui's pupil power turned and the crack on Susanoo was quickly repaired. Han's expression changed slightly and the tailed beast chakra in his body began to surge wildly, and then one tailed beast bomb after another continuously bombarded Uchiha Shisui. Han's goal was very simple, which was to use Kakashi to contain Uchiha Shisui and then use continuous tailed beast bomb attacks to wear Shisui down. He didn't believe it. Susanoo can defend against one tailed beast bomb, but it is absolutely impossible to defend against continuous tailed beast bombs. Han's plot was quite effective. In order to prevent the tailed beast bomb from killing Kakashi behind him, Uchiha Shisui could only stand in front of Kakashi and perform passive defense. Soon his Susanoo fell to pieces. Oh no, my eyes. However, to make matters worse, at the same time that Uchiha Shisui felt that his eye power was insufficient, his Sharingan was also overused. Blood was flowing out of the eye sockets. If this continues, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on. Uchiha Shisui thought anxiously in his heart. Han doesn't appear much among the Hokage. I didn't expect him to be so cunning. What Shisui didn't know was that while he was struggling to fend off Han's attack, a figure had quietly appeared in the nearby bushes. Not only Shisui but everyone's attention was completely attracted by the battle between Shisui and Han. No one noticed the arrival of Uchiha Ryujin. Uchiha Ryujin looked at Han, who was showing off his kamui, and couldn't help but complain in his heart. Forget it, judging by the situation Shisui may not be able to deal with Ding Han, so I won't wait any longer. Uchiha Ryujin secretly made a decision. He had originally planned that if Shisui could get away safely he would not take action and would not be exposed, but now it seemed that his plan was about to fail. Without any further ado, Uchiha Ryujin aimed at Han, who was frantically attacking Shisui, and launched the strongest sealing technique he could currently perform. Planetary Devastation. Planetary Devastation is a dojutsu, not a ninjutsu, and has nothing to do with the ninja's level. It can be used by perfectly controlling the Rinnegan. The idea that chakra will be drained once activated is also a misunderstanding. After all, which ninja cannot control the size and strength of his own technique? Could it be that if Ryujin wanted to seal a tadpole it would die even if it hit a 10-centimeter ball? That's a joke. In a nutshell, the size of the technique can be controlled by yourself, and the upper limit of chakra determines the upper limit of the technique, that's all. Facing a behemoth like Five Tails, all Ryujin could do was to use all his chakra and give it a try. But Ryujin couldn't guarantee how big the earth ball would be and whether it could be blocked. It all depended on fate. As the Ryujin technique was activated, an extremely powerful suction force suddenly appeared and Hana's huge body was sucked into the air in the first moment. Click, click, click. At the same time, the surrounding ground began to crack continuously, and one stone after another was sucked over by the suction force and surrounded Han. In the end, countless pieces of gravel gathered together to form a sphere. The sphere was much smaller than the one Nagato had shot, and it just covered Han with countless cracks on it. Don't even mention how ugly it is. But at least it lived up to expectations and managed to seal Han. The Han was trapped inside tightly. Although it looked like it wouldn't be long before Han broke free, it was still quite impressive that he had sealed the Jinchuriki. This half-finished planetary devastation has completely drained all of my remaining chakra. This consumption is simply terrifying. Ryujin gasped, thinking in horror. He was so frightened that he quickly stuffed a military pill into his mouth, and then he felt a little relieved. No, I have to go back to Konoha and train like crazy to increase the amount of chakra in my body as soon as possible, otherwise it will be too embarrassing and I won't be able to use it even if I have a cheat. Ryujin said secretly in his heart. Chapter 005. Shisui is deeply poisoned. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 5291st. Chapter 005. Shisui is deeply poisoned. What kind of ninjutsu is this? While Uchiha Ryujin was daydreaming, everyone at the scene was stunned and dumbfounded. Both the Konoha ninja and the rock shinobi ninja raised their heads, stared with wide eyes, and murmured as they looked at the ball of earth floating in the air. In their perception, the tailed beasts are the most powerful beings in the ninja world. As long as the Jinchuriki one tail transforms into a beast, no matter how powerful the ninja is, they will not be able to deal with it. Unless you also use Jinchuriki to deal with it. But who could have imagined that Five Tails Jinchuriki Han would be sealed by this unheard of sealing technique? Isn't this too horrifying? Whoosh. The figure flashed, and the two ninjas who caught Kakashi only felt their eyes blurred and had no time to react before Kakashi was rescued by Shisui. Then the Shisui body flicker technique unfolded, and he once again transformed into four Shisui, moving among the rock shinobi ninjas at incredible speed. With screams one after another, rock shinobi ninjas continued to fall. There were only a few left, and either out of fear or because they had seen the situation clearly, they began to flee quickly, and Shisui did not pursue them relentlessly. Shisui, what kind of method is this? Kakashi asked Uchiha Shisui with a look of shock. Uchiha Shisui also shook his head in confusion. I don't know either, but this method is too horrific, it's simply unheard of. The two men exchanged a few brief words and without wasting any time began to quickly inspect the battlefield, count the casualties on the Konoha side, and see if there were any other survivors. At the same time, they are also looking for the mysterious master who saved them in secret. The result was undeniable, not even a single ghost was found. However, they found the only two survivors, Uchiha Ryujin and Nohara Rin. The three of them began to quickly return to Konoha. Fortunately, the rest of the journey was smooth and there were no more accidents. The few of them arrived in Konoha smoothly. Kakashi Ryujin Lin, don't go back yet, follow me to see the Hokage. After returning to the village without even having time to rest, Uchiha Shisui rushed to the Hokage's office with Kakashi Ryujin and others. Conduct reporting on related tasks. Sarutobi Hiruzen still valued Uchiha Shisui very much. After hearing the report from his subordinates, he immediately put down what he was doing and summoned Uchiha Shisui. Uchiha Ryujin for the first time since his rebirth stood inside the Hokage's office. What a shame the sign-in system only allows one sign-in per day. Otherwise I could try to sign in at the Hokage's office and see what kind of rewards I'd get. In the serious office, Uchiha Ryujin was daydreaming like this. Shisui, how's it going? Have you found Obito's body? The third generation leader took a puff of his pipe, sat on the Hokage's throne, looked down at Shisui and asked. Kakashi was replaced with Sharingan by Obito. This was a big event in Konoha and the third generation was also alarmed. Later Shisui led the team to find Obito and the third generation was also very clear about this matter. Hokage-sama, I didn't find Obito's body. Shisui answered truthfully. In fact, the bodies of quite a few people who died on the battlefield could not be found, but Obito was different. He was a member of the Uchiha clan who awakened the Sharingan. If he is alive I want to see him in person, if he is dead I want to see his body. If the Sharingan on his body falls into the hands of another country it will be quite troublesome. So the third generation leader inquired about the situation in detail and there was nothing else they could do except to ask Shisui to continue to pay attention to the matter. Hokage-sama, there's one more thing I need to report to you. After finishing talking about Obito Uchiha, Shisui suddenly spoke with an extremely serious expression. The third generation members did not find this strange. After all, if it was just a mission briefing to report on Obito to them, Shisui could come alone. But now Shisui not only brought Kakashi but also Nohara, Rin and another genin, so it was obvious that he had other plans. Go ahead, said the third generation. On the way back we were ambushed by Rock Shinobi, an elite squad led by Five Tails Jinchuriki Han. Five Tails Jinchuriki, the third generation who had always been calm as a mountain, finally showed a look of surprise at this moment. Even the Jinchuriki have been dispatched. Isn't Rock Shinobi's display a bit too exaggerated? You know, Rock Shinobi's other Jinchuriki left the village early because of a disagreement with Tsuchikage. In this case, how could Rock Shinobi dare to send out its only Jinchuriki so easily? He is quite courageous. But, can Shisui now even deal with Jinchuriki? Shisui, you faced the pursuit of Five Tails Jinchuriki and were able to lead Kakashi and the others to successfully escape. I was right about you. There was a hint of admiration in third generation's tone but also a hint of fear. Shisui's strength is too strong. In addition to the extremely pervert illusion like distinguished heavenly gods, his own combat power is also so amazing. Fortunately this person is on the side of the village, otherwise there would be endless troubles. No, Hokage-sama, the reason we were able to escape safely this time was because someone else helped us. Shisui said. Without waiting for the third generation to ask more questions, Shisui took the initiative to tell them in detail what had happened. The third generation was so surprised that they were speechless. You mean that person used a very strange sealing technique to seal the half-tailed beast Han? The third generation couldn't help but be shocked. They simply couldn't imagine that in the entire ninja world apart from the Uzumaki clan who else could seal the tailed beasts. This is completely beyond the third generation's understanding of purpose. Shisui, take me over there right away. Third generation made the decision quickly after a moment of hesitation. That's Five Tails Jinchuriki and it's sealed away. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The third generation didn't waste any time at the moment. They called Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina and led a part of the Anbu people and hurriedly followed Uchiha Shisui out. As for Kakashi and Uchiha Ryujin, Shisui's original intention in bringing them here was to give a mission briefing on the battle with Rock Shinobi on the way back to the village. But now Shisui had said everything that needed to be said and the third generation was in a hurry to capture Five Tails Jinchuriki, so there was naturally no need for a mission briefing for Kakashi and the others. Chapter 006 Sarutobi Hiruzen's Surprise. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 6291st. Chapter 006 Sarutobi Hiruzen's Surprise. Oink oink. Several figures were moving rapidly through the woods. They were Uchiha Shisui and his group. Under the leadership of Uchiha Shisui, the third generation Namikaze Minato and others soon appeared at the scene of the incident. But at this moment the big ball that sealed Five Tails Jinchuriki had shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. The Five Tails Jinchuriki sealed within it has long since disappeared. It seems, we are a step too late. The third generation shook their heads and sighed with regret. If they caught Five Tails Jinchuriki and used it to threaten Rock Shinobi might just admit defeat and declare himself defeated. This way they could end the war early. What they didn't know was that Ryujin's half-finished planetary devastation was still a little defective. Shortly after they left, Five Tails Jinchuriki broke free from it with its own strength. But even so, Han was still shocked. How could he be sealed even though he was half-tailed beast? It's unbelievable. Hokage-sama, when Han attacked me here the ground suddenly began to crack. Shisui described what happened to third generation. The third generation members and Namikaze Minato were all shocked after hearing this. Without showing up, without using any scrolls or any sealing items, can you remotely seal Han who has turned into a half-tailed beast? They all couldn't help but gasp. What kind of sealing technique was this? It was simply too terrifying. No matter who this person is, he must be an extremely terrifying existence. Several people at the scene couldn't help but look at each other, racking their brains to think about the identity of the person who made the move. But even though I nearly exploded my head from thinking about it, I couldn't think of even the slightest bit of matching evidence. There was absolutely no trace of it. The only consolation is that the mysterious master rescued Shisui, so there is a high possibility that he has a past relationship with Konoha. Konoha. A teenage boy with a hint of curiosity and excitement in his eyes strolled leisurely through the streets of Konoha. Correct, Uchiha Ryujin. After the third generation left, Ryujin had nothing to do and he and Kakashi Nohara Rin naturally left the Hokage building one after another. Logically speaking, it was actually the Konoha guard's mission for Shisui and the others to lead the team to Kannabi Bridge to search for Obito's body, and Ryujin should have reported to the Konoha guard after returning. However, as a reborn Hokage fan now standing in Konoha village in real life, Ryujin could hardly contain his excitement. Naturally, he had to experience Konoha village first. Anyway, he was just a newly graduated genin, so no one would pay attention to him. It's okay to report a little later. This is Konoha. It's like a dream. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar buildings around him and the exotic figures walking on the streets, Ryujin still has a feeling of extreme unreality. Suddenly he became a part of this strange world. Well, in my last life I was a 996 office worker. All I did was work. Life had no meaning. Since God has given me a chance to live again, I must seize it and live a wonderful and meaningful life. Only in this way can my journey through time be worthwhile. As Ryujin's thoughts turned, his gaze gradually became firm. In a world like the Hokage's, one can either be a commoner and stay out of the conflicts of the ninja world, or just be a ninja and struggle in the ninja world. There are only these two options. As civilians, they naturally do not have to participate in the cruel and dangerous battles in the ninja world. Although their lives seem peaceful and happy because they have no power, they are like lambs to be slaughtered. Life and death cannot be controlled by our own hands. This was unacceptable to Ryujin. What's more, Ryujin is now a genin of the Uchiha clan and a part of the ninja world. Considering the embarrassing situation that the Uchiha clan is in now, there is only one way for Ryujin: become stronger. Only in this way can one avoid being controlled by the Uchiha clan, Konoha, or even the ninja world. I want to be the strongest, Ryujin said to himself in his mind. This is not a difficult task for him who has a god-level sign in system. Minato for adults. It's Namikaze Minato-sama. Minato-sama is back. Minato-sama, you must become the next Hokage. While he was thinking, a sudden noise came from the crowd, interrupting Ryujin's thoughts. Ryujin looked in the direction of the crowd and saw a sunny boy with blonde hair walking towards the intersection ahead. It was none other than the Yellow Flash Namikaze Minato, who was famous throughout the ninja world. In order to prevent the village's defense force from being depleted, Namikaze Minato immediately used the Flying Thunder God to return to the village after checking the big ball at the planetary devastation. As soon as Namikaze Minato appeared, most of the villagers rushed over with excitement and admiration, welcoming him warmly. Minato's prestige is really high. Ryujin couldn't help but sigh secretly. No wonder Minato could defeat Orochimaru, a disciple of the third generation, and become the fourth Hokage of Konoha. With this level of popularity, I'm afraid Konoha won't agree unless the third generation passes the position to Namikaze Minato. Thinking about the tragic ending of Namikaze Minato, Ryujin couldn't help but sigh. Minato is one of the very few perfect characters among the Hokage. He is in a high position of power and has extraordinary strength, but he still ended up dying along with Uzumaki Kushina. This also strengthened Ryujin's determination to become stronger quickly. The ninja world is too dangerous. Strength is king. Ichiraku Ramen. While thinking about something, Ryujin strolled around the garden and suddenly he was next to Ichiraku Ramen. Let's go in and try it. I wonder if the ramen here is really that delicious. Ryujin hesitated for a moment and strode in. Boss, give me a bowl of ramen. Ryujin found an empty seat and sat down, saying to the uncle. No, at this time the hand typing is not uncle but brother. Ryujin. Uchiha Ryujin had just sat down for a short while when a somewhat unexpected voice was heard next to him. The voice was clear and melodious, and it was a girl's. Uchiha Ryujin subconsciously turned his head to look, and after a careful identification he finally recognized who the other person was: Yuhi Kurenai. After all, Kurenai Yuhi in Hokage was a beautiful woman with infinite mature charm when she first appeared, while the current Kurenai is still in her youth. But it is also beautiful enough to make people's eyes shine. Chapter 007: Onoki's Decision. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 7291st. Chapter 007: Onoki's Decision. The Uchiha clan is undoubtedly the largest clan in Konoha and has its own clan territory. Generally speaking, the Uchiha clan lives and works in their clan territory. In addition, the Uchiha clan has a deep gap with the village because of their arrogance and contempt for ordinary people, as well as some historical reasons. They rarely go to the village to eat. That's why Yuhi Kurenai felt a little surprised when she saw Uchiha Ryujin. After seeing Kurenai Yuhi, Ryujin also sorted out the memories of his predecessor, and he found that his predecessor and Kurenai Yuhi were actually classmates. However, the Uchiha clan's ethos is a little distorted. Although the talents of their predecessors were not very good, the Uchiha clan's arrogance and conceit are still the same. In the class, he looks down on other Uchiha people and does not have a good relationship with his classmates. He and Shiraihong are just acquaintances. After meeting Kurenai Yuhi at the ramen restaurant, Ryujin just greeted her politely and didn't say much to her. He just started eating noodles by himself, oblivious to the people around him. After coming out of Ichiraku Ramen, Ryujin wandered around Konoha for a while before returning to report to the Konoha guard. In the afternoon, I patrolled Konoha with others for a while and the day was over. However, on this day Uchiha Ryujin did not return to the Uchiha clan territory as usual. After some thought, he went directly to the Konoha training ground. Because Ryujin has to train hard in taijutsu from now on. While on patrol in the afternoon, Ryujin had already figured out his future plans, which could be simply summarized in 4 words: physical training. After all, this is currently the only way to increase the amount of chakra in the body. According to the teacher at the ninja school, chakra is a special energy formed by the perfect fusion of physical energy and spiritual energy in the human body. However, this theory is actually wrong. Chakra is actually a special energy that comes from the sacred tree. The chakra in all ninjas was given by the sage of 6 paths and has been passed down from generation to generation. Although chakra is an external energy, the amount of chakra in each person's body varies. Judging from various manifestations, a considerable portion of these inherited chakras are in a dormant state. Through appropriate physical and mental training, these chakras can be stimulated. This is the truth of the current chakra theory. Among the entire Hokage, it can be said that there are few people who understand chakra better than Ryujin. However, although the current theory of ninjutsu teaching is wrong, it is also a blessing in disguise. Physical training is indeed useful in enhancing chakra. Because it was already past class time when Ryujin arrived at the training ground, it was empty with only a few people still training. Huff huff huff. Bang bang bang. One of them was a boy wearing green clothes with a mushroom-shaped haircut and eyebrows so thick that they looked like a genetic mutation. He instantly caught Ryujin's attention. Might guy, this is also a cheater from Konoha. Ryujin couldn't help but sigh inwardly. As we all know, Hokage is a world where bloodline is the only thing that matters. If you don't have some Indra or Ashura blood in you, it will be difficult to become a truly strong person. At best it's cage level. But there are always 2 or 3 cheaters who can break this rule. Namikaze Minato is one of them. His flying thunder god makes him invincible. Might Guy's 8 inner gates is definitely one of them. When 8 inner gates is fully activated, it can even severely damage 6 paths Madara. It can already be called a miracle. However, Might Guy is still far from reaching that kind of highlight moment. Now he is just a loser who is ridiculed and looked down upon. Red. It wasn't strange to see Might Guy Ryujin at the training ground, but it was a little surprising that Kurenai Yuhi was also there. After all, Honk is an illusion-type ninja. Why would she be training in physical skills? Could it be that Yuhi Kurenai is training her chakra control, or that she doesn't have enough chakra? Ryujin couldn't help but speculate in his mind. Among the Hokage, the principle of illusion is to interfere with and control the flow of chakra in the opponent's brain, thereby making the opponent fall into hallucinations. An illusion-type ninja's control over chakra needs to be much more precise than that of an ordinary person. Of course, these thoughts only flashed through Ryujin's mind. He just thought about it subconsciously and did not delve into it deeply. No matter why Shihi Kurenai came to the training ground, it had nothing to do with him. Might Guy and Kurenai Yuhi also looked at Ryujin in surprise, as the Uchiha rarely came to the training grounds to train. Ryujin nodded to the 2 of them as a greeting and then started training on his own. Bang bang bang. Huff huff huff. For a moment this was the only sound left on the training ground. Comma. Take it. Tsuchikage office. Tsuchikage Onoki, known as Onoki of the 2 scales, is levitating in the air using the ultra-light heavy rock technique. There's no way. Onoki is too short. If he sits on the chair, he will be blocked by the desk and no one can see him. In front of Onoki were the top leaders of Iwagakure such as Kodo Akato and Bunga. Of course, Han the Five-Tails Jinchuriki is also among them. Everyone in the office looked very solemn. The Kannabi Bridge has been destroyed and our supplies cannot be delivered. The ninja troops stationed in the Land of Grass can only hold out for 3 days at most. If we continue to attack, we won't be able to break into Konoha without material support. They don't even need to fight head-on. They can wear us out just by delaying us. But if we retreat, we're going to lose this war. Tsuchikage-sama, please make a decision quickly. Bunga said to Tsuchikage with a hint of anxiety. The others also looked at Onoki. Everyone understood that the war had reached a critical moment and victory or defeat would soon be decided. Onoki was suspended in the air, his arms folded, silent. He was concentrating on thinking. After a moment he suddenly lowered his head, his eyes filled with determination. All troops advance in full force, cross the Land of Grass as quickly as possible and attack Konoha fiercely. Huang Tu aka Tu and the others could not help but be a little surprised. If Lord Tsuchikage did this, there would be heavy casualties. Those troops will not only face the frenzied resistance of the Land of Grass but also the head-on attack of Konoha. What's even more fatal is that without logistical support they will not be able to hold out for long. What's the point of doing this? Chapter 008. The Titular Eternal Mangekyo. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 8291st. Chapter 008. The Titular Eternal Mangekyo. Tsuchikage-sama, if I do this, I'm afraid it's not appropriate, right? Wenya frowned and expressed his opinion carefully. Onoki's plan really seemed like a mess. At this time Onoki waved his hand, interrupting Wenya's words, and then said, "Don't be impatient, listen to me. Our troops are fighting over long distances. Without logistical support they are already doomed to failure. The only difference is a few days earlier or later. So I didn't intend to have our troops defeat Konoha's troops head-on. This is impossible. Although I don't want to admit it, I have to admit that when the Kannabi Bridge was destroyed we were defeated. But it's not completely impossible to turn the tables. Our only chance now is to take a risky tactic and come up with a surprising strategy to turn defeat into victory." When Onoki said this, his eyes sparkled and he was full of vigor and ambition, ready to take charge. This full-scale attack is actually a feint. I want to create the illusion of our rock shinobi's dying counterattack. When Konoha sees our massive advance into the Land of Grass, they will undoubtedly mobilize their army to prepare for war. At this time Konoha's defenses will be left empty. If my prediction is correct, people like Yellow Flash and Shisui will definitely go to the battlefield and the third Hokage will stay in Konoha as usual. When the time comes I will personally lead people to infiltrate Konoha to deal with the Hokage. If we can capture the Hokage we will not be considered a failure. Onoki slowly told everyone his plan, and the people in Tsuchikage's office suddenly realized it and they all admired Onoki very much. What a heroic feat it is to penetrate deep into the enemy's base camp and capture their commander. Lord Tsuchikage, isn't this too dangerous? Huang Tu couldn't help but ask with some concern. No matter what, that is the headquarters of Konoha, the most powerful village in the ninja world. Konoha's power is no longer what it used to be. The Sannin have left the stage, White Fang committed suicide, and Sarutobi and Hiruzen are past their prime. As long as we can lure out Namikaze Minato and Shunshin Shisui, we can do a lot. Onoki became more and more motivated. The others were gradually persuaded by Onoki and felt more and more that this method was feasible. After all, Onoki was indeed very powerful. He is not only the only one among the 5 Kage who can fly but also the only ninja who has mastered the bloodline elimination technique, which is superior to the bloodline limit. As long as the timing is right, even Sarutobi and Hiruzen can't withstand Onoki's original world separation technique. Tsuchikage-sama, there is another person who needs your special attention. At this time the man who had been silent all this time suddenly interrupted. That's the mysterious man who instantly sealed me in my half-tailed beast form. As soon as that person was mentioned, the office fell silent again. Han had already reported the mission briefing of his battle to kill Shunshin Shisui, and everyone including Onoki was shocked. They had never seen such a strange and magical sealing technique as using large stones. Even Han, who had transformed into a half-tailed beast, was sealed without any resistance. Looking at the entire rock shinobi except for Onoki, who could use dust release to escape, no one else could say that they could deal with it if they encountered him. This person's strength is unfathomable. The intelligence we previously possessed never contained any information related to him. We don't know who this person is, what methods he uses, or even if he is a Konoha shinobi. This person is a mystery. This person may be a greater threat to us than Sarutobi Hiruzen. Well, this is a good opportunity to see if this person is from Konoha. Onoki pondered for a moment and slowly said these words to everyone. Seeing that Onoki had made a decision, everyone stopped talking and began to discuss the details of the operation. Konoha evening. After training for 2 hours, Ryujin dragged his tired body and returned to the Uchiha tribe's territory with sweat all over his forehead. Although it was late, the tribe was still very lively. Groups of Uchiha people were chatting and strolling around in various places in the tribe. And some of them are dating together. Ryujin, why are you back so late today? Ryujin, I heard that you and Shisui went out of the village on a mission today. Along the way, tribesmen who were familiar with Ryujin greeted him in a familiar way, and Ryujin responded with a smile. Ryujin, you're back just in time. Go wash your hands and get ready for dinner. When he returned home, a woman who looked very gentle and virtuous waved to Ryujin with a smile. At the same time, there was another middle-aged man with a dignified appearance kneeling beside the table and reading a newspaper. These are exactly Uchiha Ryujin's parents, Uchiha Zuhuo and Uchiha Junquan. Oh, Ryujin was stunned for a moment, responded, washed his hands according to the house layout he remembered from his previous life, and returned to the desk. Uchiha Mayumi also put down the newspaper and the family began to eat. Like her family in her previous life, Uchiha Mayumi is a virtuous and gentle mother who constantly cares about Ryujin's trivial matters. Uchiha Zuhuo didn't talk much, just asked about Ryujin's work in the guard team and his training. Ryujin can feel the care of his parents in this life. This is family. Ryujin felt a little warm inside. After dinner, Ryujin returned to his room and closed the door. Only then did he finally have time to test his Rinnegan. Of course, this is not to test the power of Rinnegan's 6 paths. After all, this is a perfectly compatible Rinnegan, so there will be no problems in these aspects. But it was to verify Ryujin's other guess. As we all know, the evolution of Sharingan among Hokage follows the evolution order of Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Rinnegan. The Rinnegan is the ultimate form of the Sharingan. Now that Ryujin has the ultimate form of Sharingan, won't the lower level forms just disappear? During the Fourth War, Uchiha Madara was able to switch between the Eternal Mangekyo and the Rinnegan with ease. Of course, Uchiha Madara evolved naturally, but Ryujin evolved through a system cheat. The two situations were different, so Ryujin was not sure and could only come back to verify it himself. At that moment, his mind moved and the pupils in his eye sockets began to change accordingly. After some experiments, Ryujin discovered that he was indeed in the state of Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, but unfortunately he had not awakened the ability corresponding to Eternal Mangekyo. Apart from illusion techniques, he has no other abilities and cannot activate Susanoo. To put it bluntly, it's the same as having nothing. Chapter 009 Rock Shinobi Ninja Invasion of Konoha. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 9291st. Chapter 009 Rock Shinobi Ninja Invasion of Konoha. Yes, I was greedy. Some of the Eternal Mangekyo's abilities are extremely heaven-defying. How could the system offer buy one get one free? After the experiment, Ryujin shook his head and laughed at himself, not taking it to heart. He continued to meditate according to the method of training mental power remembered by his previous life. After another 2 hours, he finally fell into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, Ryujin's body had already developed a biological clock and he automatically opened his eyes when the first ray of sunlight shone through the window. There is no such thing as staying in bed. System, give me. Originally, Ryujin subconsciously wanted to sign in, but after thinking about it carefully, he temporarily suppressed the impulse. The system said that the more special places you sign in, the richer the rewards you will get. Ryujin naturally wants to get a richer reward. So what are the special places in Konoha? Some landmarks such as the Hokage building, Hokage Rock, the ninja school, etc. flashed through Ryujin's mind, and finally the Uchiha clan land and the clan lands of some other major Konoha clans. Forget it, let's try signing in at the Hokage building today. Ryujin made this decision after a little thought. After all, he was now a member of the Konoha Guard and his duty was to patrol the village. There is no problem going anywhere. After breakfast and saying hello to his parents, Ryujin went to the Konoha Guard to clock in for work and patrol the village. It is worth noting that when Ryujin went out this time, he wore a big pair of sunglasses on his face, mainly just in case. If any emergency occurs and he needs to use the power of Rinnegan, he can cover the Rinnegan in his eye sockets to avoid being discovered by the enemy. After all, it's wartime now. When passing by the Hokage building, Ryujin entered the system with a hint of excitement. System, sign in at the Hokage building. Ding! Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and receiving the Flying Thunder God technique as a reward. Namikaze Minato to Flying Thunder God technique. Ryujin couldn't help but get excited again, his body even trembling slightly. This was a cheat-level ninjutsu among the Hokage. To put it bluntly, with the Flying Thunder God, as long as Ryujin wants to leave, who in the entire ninja world can keep Ryujin? Even space-time ninjutsu like Kamui can't do it. Even this heaven-defying S-rank ninjutsu doesn't even require hand seals, it's so convenient. Haha, with Flying Thunder God, even though I'm just a genin, my own safety is guaranteed. If I can't defeat them, I can always run away. Ryujin was in a very good mood, and even his steps seemed to be lighter during the following patrol. All members of the Konoha Guard returned to headquarters for a meeting immediately. After patrolling Konoha for about 3 times, Ryujin suddenly received an urgent message from headquarters. Could it be because of a change in the war situation? Ryujin pondered to himself as he returned to the Konoha Guard. But I'm just a genin. Even if the sky falls, there are tall people to hold it up. There's no need to be nervous. After changing his mind, Ryujin didn't take it to heart. Soon all the members of the Konoha Guard gathered at the headquarters. The captain of the guard, Uchiha Fugaku, was among them, as well as Shunshin no Mizu and other senior officials. But everyone's faces were not very good. The atmosphere in the building was quite depressing. According to intelligence reports from the front, Rock Shinobi's ninja army is advancing fully towards our Konoha within the land of grass. They are likely to fight to the death. The war is intense, and we the Konoha Guard need to dispatch forces to reinforce. We must not allow Rock Shinobi's ninja army to cross the Grass Kingdom. Groups 1 to 7 follow me to the battlefield. Group 8 will stay in Konoha. Everyone move immediately. After everyone arrived, Uchiha Fugaku made the corresponding arrangements. I'm lucky enough to stay in Konoha. Ryujin was a member of Group 8. When he heard that he didn't have to go to the battlefield, he couldn't help but feel secretly happy. It seemed that his luck was still very good. Immediately afterwards, Uchiha Fugaku personally led a large group of Konoha guards and set off. Large numbers of ninjas in the village also rushed to the battlefield under the leadership of some elite jonin. Even Anbu had ninjas deployed there. In short, except for the basic defense forces that can operate on a daily basis, almost all of Konoha's troops have been withdrawn. After all, Iwagakure opened fire at full power all of a sudden, and the situation was really scary. If the enemy were allowed to cross the land of grass and come to Konoha's territory to fight, even if the final battle was won, it would be a miserable victory. But these things have nothing to do with Ryujin. He just needs to stay in Konoha and take things easy. In the village shrouded in a tense atmosphere, Ryujin continued patrolling as if nothing had happened. What Ryujin didn't know was that to the west of Konoha's village there was a small forest. Snap, snap, a slight sound of breaking ground was heard, and the ground suddenly became as soft as quicksand. Several heads emerged from under the ground. It was none other than Tsuchikage Onoki along with Kodo and Akado Bunya. They activated the spies lying in ambush in Konoha and killed the ninjas of the barrier squad. At the same time, they used the Earth Dragon hidden technique to travel underground, silently passing through all the outposts of Konoha and invading Konoha without anyone noticing. Several heads turned left and right, and only after making sure it was absolutely safe did they jump out from underground. Following them, other elite ninjas kept jumping out from the ground. Yoshi, we've already invaded Konoha. The first step of our plan was a success, Wenya said with a little excitement. Alright, let's proceed according to the plan. The 3 of you will lead the others to create a disturbance in Konoha to distract attention. I will go find Sarutobi Hiruzen. If anything happens, you must evacuate immediately. You don't have to wait for me. I can leave anytime I want. Konoha can't stop me, Onoki said to Wongtu and the others very happily. That is the only flying cage Onoki had the confidence to say so. Okay, disperse. Following Onoki's order, Wongtu and his men all used the body flicker technique and disappeared in an instant, each moving through Konoha village. However, Konoha had entered a state of emergency an hour ago, and there was not a single person to be seen on the streets. Everyone hid in their homes and refused to go out. Even some shops on both sides of the street were closed to customers. Seeing this situation, several Rock Shinobi ninjas were secretly happy. Konoha was so prepared, which meant that their plan was successful. Konoha took Rock Shinobi's feint seriously. I hope this plan can succeed. Wenya couldn't help but think so in his heart as he walked carefully through Konoha. At a time like this, as the Hokage of Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen should most likely be in the Hokage building. Let's go there first. Onoki thought so and used the super light heavy rock technique to fly quickly towards the Hokage building. Just after turning a corner, Onoki unexpectedly met a person who was from the Konoha Guard. But soon Onoki breathed a sigh of relief because it was just a child. Chapter 010 Ryujin vs Onoki. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 10-291st. Chapter 010 Ryujin vs Onoki. There is no doubt that the member of the Konoha Guard that Onoki encountered was Uchiha Ryujin. Ryujin had just signed in and received the Flying Thunder God reward and was feeling very excited, but who would have thought that he would suddenly encounter an intruder? And a flying invader. What's going on? Can you fly? Ryujin was still very surprised when he saw Onoki. After all, flying is an incredible thing for ordinary ninjas. Looking across the entire ninja world, there aren't many ninjas who can do this. Hanging in midair without any support, it's just like Onoki's ultra-light heavy rock technique. Know this thin figure and that big nose Pete. This is the middle-aged version of Onoki. After staring at Onoki for a while, Ryujin suddenly recognized Onoki's identity and was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. Why is it so unbelievable? Konoha is currently at war with Rock Shinobi and Rock Shinobi's Tsuchikage suddenly appears in the village. What's going on? Even though Ryujin now has a powerful cheat like Rinnegan, he doesn't dare to compete with Onoki easily. Luckily Lousy just got the Flying Thunder God technique. If I can't beat him I can always run away. Thinking about the Flying Thunder God reward he just got, Ryujin couldn't help but secretly rejoice. But this relief soon turned into pain. Because just when Ryujin was about to use Flying Thunder God to move away, he was shocked to find that he had not had time to make any mark of Flying Thunder God. The Flying Thunder God can only be transferred to the marked location. What the hell? Ryujin was speechless, but this was not a difficult problem. Although it was too late to mark him now, he could still imitate the second stage of Namikaze Minato's Flying Thunder God. Mark the Flying Thunder God spell on the kunai and shoot it far away. Thinking this in his mind, Ryujin planned to take out a kunai to mark him, but Onoki was worthy of being Onoki and his strength was much stronger than Ryujin. Ryujin had just moved his body and had no time to touch the kunai. Onoki in the air had already shaken his hand and several kunai shot directly at Ryujin. Hiss hiss hiss. The sound of breaking through the air was heard and Ryujin only felt a sharp air coming towards him, suppressing him to the point that he could hardly breathe. Then my eyes blurred and I felt a sense of extreme danger. He couldn't even see the trajectory of those kunai. This is the power of shadow. Strong, so strong that for a small genin like Ryujin it was completely crushing. Hiss. At this moment all the hairs on Ryujin's body suddenly stood up and his muscles instantly tensed up, entering a state of high tension. He also didn't have time to use the kunai to mark the Flying Thunder God because Ryujin knew that if he delayed for even a moment he would be killed by Onoki's Flying Thunder God. At that moment Ryujin decisively gave up reaching for the kunai and instinctively clapped his hands in front of him, Shinra Tensai. A repulsive force suddenly appeared. Hiss hiss hiss. The three kunai fired by Onoki were directly bounced away by the repulsive force and hit the wall on the side, making a few crisp clanging sounds of metal and splashing two sparks of fire. Onoki was immediately surprised. What kind of method was this? Without even forming a seal one can unleash that inexplicable power. Shira rode. Taking advantage of Onoki's surprise, Ryujin made a prompt decision and did not give Onoki any chance to breathe and directly activated the power of Rinnegan Shirato. Snort sniff. 3 missiles were fired towards Onoki. It is worth noting that Shirato does not need to transform his body. It is just the Rinnegan's eye ability, nothing more. Otherwise non-scientists who awaken the Rinnegan will not be able to use the full 6 paths ability. This is ridiculous. Isn't the Sage of 6 paths equivalent to being blind 1/6 of the way? And in that era there were only cold weapons and no hot weapons, or did the Shira path in Sage of 6 paths shoot bows and arrows? Another good example is Nagato. When Nagato was threatened with death by Naruto he was extremely skinny and bony, his ribs were clearly visible and his arms were only half the thickness of others. He was truly skin and bones. It is obvious that the body is your original body and has not been modified. Moreover, when Nagato uses pain to fight he always supplies chakra from the rear and he himself does not fight, which further illustrates this point. But the Edo Nagato can fully use the Shira path. It is obvious that Shirato is a Rinnegan ability, not a transformation into a mechanical body. Snort sniff. Several missiles arrived in a flash. Although Onoki had never seen this kind of missile attack, he also felt that this attack was not simple. Onoki first subconsciously flew to the side trying to avoid the attack of 3 missiles, but he soon found that doing so was useless because the missiles had tracking capabilities. There is no way around it. What's more, the distance was so close that the missile flew in front of Onoki in an instant. Earth-style rock clone. Onoki's expression changed slightly. At this moment he couldn't use many Earth-style ninjutsu in the air. He could only clap his palm suddenly and open his mouth to spit out. A large piece of clay was spit out by Onoki and the clay quickly condensed into 3 other Onoki around Onoki, blocking Onoki firmly behind him. It was also in this lightning-fast moment that Shirato's 3 missiles hit Onoki's 3 clones. Boom! A violent explosion suddenly sounded and within the dazzling flames an extremely powerful energy frenzy began to spread in all directions. Onoki's 3 clones were blown to pieces by Shirato's missiles in an instant. That was not enough, the extremely powerful impact force directly knocked Onoki over. Onoki was shot backwards like a cannonball and hit the wall with a heavy bang. It's outrageous that Konoha actually has such a strong person. Who is this person? Onoki's face instantly showed horror. The man in front of him was clearly a teenager and he had beaten him, the Tsuchikage, into a miserable state in such a short time. Is this the foundation of Konoha? If he hadn't experienced it himself he wouldn't have believed that such a thing could happen even if he beat Onoki to death. Where are the people? However, when Onoki calmed down he found that the young man who had easily defeated him in a few moves had disappeared completely. Even someone as strong as Onoki had no idea how the other party escaped. Flying Thunder God is an S-level space-time ninjutsu. Even Onoki cannot find any clues. I was trying to capture Sarutobi Hiruzen but I can't even defeat a teenager from Konoha. Besides being shocked, Onoki's mentality collapsed at this moment. Snort sniff. Several figures flashed by. They were the people from Konoha Anbu who were alarmed by the explosion. They rushed over at the first moment and surrounded Onoki. Immediately afterwards Sarutobi Hiruzen also took off and landed several times using the body flicker technique to fly in front of Onoki. Onoki, you are so brave, Sarutobi Hiruzen said to Onoki in shock and anger. No, Onoki is in such a mess. It's obvious that he has been through a fierce battle. Who else in Konoha can suppress Onoki? However, when Sarutobi Hiruzen saw Onoki looking dusty and out of breath he felt very strange. Is there anyone in Konoha who possesses such terrifying strength? Chapter 011. Konoha in the Smoke of War. Konoha. Signing in with Rinnegan at the start. 11/291. Chapter 011. Konoha in the Smoke of War. To be honest, both Onoki and Sarutobi Hiruzen overestimated Ryujin's strength. Ryujin is far from as strong as they imagined. Now when facing Onoki, Ryujin really has no confidence in suppressing Onoki. Without discussing the 6 paths, abilities, let's just talk about the most powerful move Ryujin can use right now, Planetary Devastation, which Onoki can break directly with Dust Release. Planetary Devastation is not invulnerable. During the Fourth World War, Uchiha Itachi, Naruto and Killer Bee teamed up to destroy Edo Tensei Nagato's Planetary Devastation. Now that the power gap between Ryujin and Onoki is so huge, it is not difficult for Onoki to break Planetary Devastation. As for the abilities of the other 6 paths, it also cannot play a very obvious role. Take the Way of Heaven for example. Tendao's Shinra Tensei Universal Pull seems to be invincible, but it will still be frustrated when it encounters a powerful force. After all, to put it bluntly, it is just a powerful force, nothing more. It can be controlled. When Uchiha Madara successfully performed Infinite Tsukuyomi's 6 Paths Pain attacked Konoha in Tsunade's illusionary world. At that time, Naruto, who had transformed into 9 Tails, fought against Tendo Pain, and Tendo Pain used Shinra Tensei on Naruto. What's the result? Not only did Tendo Pain fail to bounce Naruto back, but he was directly bounced away by Naruto's powerful impact. Later, when the two half-bodies of 9 Tails chakra were combined together, Naruto didn't even need to transform into 9 Tails. He was able to directly break through Tendo Pain's Shinra Tensei power. Although these are all contents in Tsunade's illusion and did not really happen, the ninjutsu system also follows the logic of reality. The illusion in Infinite Tsukuyomi is just that the development of events and the identities of some characters have deviated, but the power system has not changed. You can use it for reference. In a nutshell, no matter how powerful your cheats are or how awesome your methods are, if you encounter an enemy that is much stronger than you will still have to kneel. The reason why Onoki suffered such a great loss at the hands of Ryujin was on the one hand that Ryujin's missile attack was too unexpected, and on the other hand because Onoki Wooden Golem was in the air, many defensive ninjutsu could not be performed. If it were on the ground, Onoki could have perfectly blocked Ryujin's missile attack with some casual earth-style defense. But then again, once Onoki is in the air, most of the enemy's attacks will be completely useless. Ryujin has the means to launch aerial attacks, and that is Ryujin's ability. Summoning. After a brief standoff with Onoki, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't waste any time, decisively bit his finger and slammed it hard on the ground. A circle of magic spread out. With a bang, green smoke emerged and the Monkey King appeared in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. As this, Onoki, the demon's pupils changed slightly. He knew how powerful Onoki was, so without waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen to say anything, he turned into the Vajra Nairai staff and flew into Sarutobi Hiruzen's hands. Sarutobi Hiruzen gripped the Kongo Nui staff tightly and stabbed towards Onoki in the sky. The Vajra Rui stick suddenly became very long and was thrust in front of Onoki. Earth-style Yan Quan technique. Onoki quickly formed seals and a large amount of mud emerged from his hands, instantly wrapping up Onoki's right fist, forming a very large and exaggerated mud boxing glove. Then Onoki swung his exaggerated fist and hit the Vajra Rui stick hard. Boom! Amidst the flying dirt and rocks, the Vajra Rui stick was instantly deflected. Earth-style heavy rock technique. Then Onoki formed a seal with one hand, and the Vajra Rui stick that was opened by his punch suddenly became several times heavier and fell to the ground with a clang. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't even hold it. Whoosh! At this time, Onoki swung his huge fist from the sky and flew towards Sarutobi Hiruzen and delivered a powerful punch to Sarutobi Hiruzen. The two sides engaged in an extremely fierce battle. Boom, boom, boom. But at this moment there were loud noises and commotions coming from other parts of the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked solemn and frowned. It seems that there is not just one enemy. This time Rock Shinobi took advantage of the weakness of Konoha's guards and launched a full-scale invasion of Konoha. At this moment Sarutobi Hiruzen also understood that the full-scale attack from the Land of Grass was fake. Leave this to me and go provide support elsewhere. Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted in a deep voice to the Anbu team members around him. Also find Danzo and Orochimaru immediately. Yes, snort sniff. The Anbu people still obeyed the orders. After Sarutobi Hiruzen gave the order, they immediately followed the order, launched the body flicker technique and bounced away and disappeared. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen and Onoki were left at the scene. Onoki's eyes sparkled. Now was his chance. As long as he could capture or kill Sarutobi Hiruzen before Konoha's support arrived, this operation would be a success. But is it really that easy to do this? Although Sarutobi Hiruzen is old, he was once the strongest Hokage of Konoha. He has all 5 types of chakra and so many ninjutsu that he was called the Doctor of Ninjutsu. Although Onoki acted as if Sarutobi Hiruzen was insignificant when they were making plans in Tsuchikage's office, deep down Onoki did not dare to underestimate Sarutobi Hiruzen at all. The Great War between Konoha and Rock Shinobi in Konoha village began with the confrontation between Onoki and Sarutobi Hiruzen. At this moment Konoha fell into a trap. All the important forces were transferred to the battlefield, leaving the defensive forces empty, and Rock Shinobi took advantage of the opportunity. Soon the whole village was covered in smoke. The situation is very grim. Anbu and the Konoha guard were all in a tough battle, and even that old guy Danzo had to mobilize the elite of the route. He originally intended to make the village suffer some losses so that leaders such as Sarutobi Hiruzen and Namikaze Minato would have an indelible stain on them, so that he could wait for the position of Hokage in the future. But later Danzo really couldn't help it. If he didn't come out, Konoha might really be finished and then he would still be a shitty Hokage. This is such a rip-off, such a rip-off. Looking at the smoke-filled Konoha, Ryujin felt like crying. He had originally thought that staying in Konoha would be a good job, but he didn't expect that the enemy would come to his